with medical readiness. We are 15th out of 16th when it comes to medical readiness in the entire USARC for O&F commands. So from our philosophy, there's nowhere we can go but up, right? So this is kind of one of those duties that's dual-hatted. It is a one function, but execution kind of relies on the 3 side of the house as well, in addition to the clinical support that we have in the various units. The MMBs, I apologize because you don't tend to have as many clinical folks as the caches do. But again, we're all one command and we're all going to play together. And if I don't know you need something, then I can't help you out. So don't be afraid to pick up that phone call. Don't be afraid to call, send me an email. Since 2009, we lost the AGR nurses at the brigade level. So because of that structure, it's me and then the battalions as far as AGR nursing staff. So don't be afraid to, let me know if there's something going on. Concurrently this week, we have a big training event with our SRP teams, and part of that is the medical piece. And my hope with that is to not only have them trained in level 2 SRPs, but to utilize those folks to improve your medical readiness at the battalions and at the caches, at the MMBs, at the companies, that type of thing. So, you're going to have a big bulk of folks trained with medical readiness at the end of the next 2 weeks. So don't be afraid to utilize them to help your own unit's medical readiness. One of the things we had implemented in my other command, I just came from AR Medcom, I was at MRTC before I came here, and one of the things we had down to the battalion levels were medical readiness coordinators. And I'm not going to task anybody to say, okay, the assistant chief nurse should do this or the S1 should do this. The brigades and the battalions, you know your folks best. But what we're going to do is I want to have a primary and an alternate medical readiness coordinator that I can reach out to directly to kind of help with the process and improve our readiness. The one unique thing with medical readiness is there's more than one way to skin the cat when it comes to medical readiness. So if we have a mass event or we need to conduct a level 2 SRP because we're getting ready to MOB or get that ACF ready to go, or if we have your 90-day boggers getting ready to deploy, there's more than one way to take care of this. So my intent with having we want a medical readiness coordinator that's considered the primary, and then the other that's the alternate. And I would ask that at least one of those folks be somebody who's either full-time as a civilian or an AGR. And that just helps with getting processes taken care of and issues addressed in a more timely manner than the one weekend a month. So I'll kind of incorporate that or start thinking about that when you're looking at your planning, and then ultimately when you're looking at your YTV. Now that you have these folks identified, how are we going to train them? You don't necessarily have to send them to the training in Virginia. If you have a group of folks together that need the training, the mobile training teams will come to you. And it doesn't have to be, just the 807th. If we're fortunate, we're co-located with the 96th here, or whatever they're called these days. And so we do a lot of things with them. So if you can get a group of 20 or more people together, USARC will fund them to come to you and conduct the training for MedChart, AVS, MedPros, that type of thing. So think outside the box and not necessarily the fact that you have to send all these people all over the country to conduct the training. 396, you have Madigan in your backyard. I mean, it might not make sense to send your folks down for some type of training if it's being offered at one of the MTFs. Same with the 228th. You have so many facilities, and opportunities there. I loved being at Fort CM. So again, there's more than one way to skin the cat. So, if you're at a loss on the best way to take care of this, give me a call. Let me know, what we can do to get these people trained up. And I find once you get them trained up and they know what they're doing, they'll go to town. These people a lot of times want to do something more than just sit through mandatory training and drill. So get them trained up, get them a purpose, especially the providers. Get your providers engaged, get them into e-profile, get them participating in these level 2 SRPs, and they'll just find that they have a purpose again when it comes to drill and that type of thing. So don't be afraid to again, think out of the box. One of the other things that USARC is addressing with us is credentialing. Currently, we focus on the credentialing for our folks that are going on ODTs, IRTs, et cetera. And then we kind of forget about the mobilizing units and the 90-day boggers. But what's happening at the USARC surgeon's office is when they put in the request for the 90-day boggers, they don't, none of the down trace get notified that your doc hasn't submitted this document or this document. And so what happened to me at MRTC was my doc fell off the battle roster because he had been non-compliant with their RFIs. And again, I had no awareness. He didn't know they were trying to contact him. So one of the things that they're going to be doing is pushing down to our level, and it could even go down to the brigade level, is putting in your 90-day boggers for credentialing requests. And then that way, the units involved and making sure that they're compliant with the request for information in addition to what we do already with the ODTs and IRTs. So more to follow on that, but just so you have an awareness on that. And they're already kind of starting to do that with some of them. One of the things that the unit, some of the people, even at the 807th, weren't aware of is I have access to the 90-day bog roster, and it's updated every week or every 2 weeks, kind of depending what's going on. So if you know, or if you would like to know if you have any docs that are coming up, in the next year, give me a shout and I'll send you a roster. The other thing is there's a lot of open vacancies, and a lot of times when I was at the 328th, I pushed that vacancy roster to some of my docs, and they were ecstatic that they could actually pick their 90-day bog. Hey, I want to go to Honduras, I want to do this, I want to do that. So if you would like to have those vacancies available to your docs, because the docs, the whole medical command kind of, is about doctors, and they can't really do a mission without a provider. And if we can get them engaged in doing stuff that they want to, have a say in, going to Honduras, going to Japan. I got to send a doc to Japan for 3 months, Pacific Promise, that type of thing. Get them involved. They'll jump at the opportunity as long as they know ahead of time so they can clear their, schedule and get the support from their private practice or, their coworkers, that type of thing. So again, if you're looking, and this kind of leads also into the other issue, is the low density MOSs. Coming from MRTC, I had no awareness whatsoever that the RTS med sites have specific training for your low density MOSs, your 68 kilos, your 68 Victors, that type of thing. It's always a challenge to get them the right training environment or right training opportunity, and I know some locations are fortunate to have a Madigan or BAMC or a VA medical center to train with. But like your 68 Alphas, they're having externships and that type of thing. So if you're kind of stuck, and this will actually be a big issue too with the MEGLOG battalions, because they're going to start pushing the optometry hot mission down to them. And if you have folks that haven't been trained up in a while in that, we might need to establish some training to get them refreshed, that type of thing. Kind of along the lines what Lieutenant Colonel Hughes had started with the 68 whiskeys back in a day, and having some type of sustainment training for some of these folks as well. And again, internally, we don't necessarily have to utilize our personnel for that. Use those resources that are already out there at your Camp Parks, your McCoys, and your Fort Gordons. And then the newest thing that I wanted to address with the group, this was a USARC initiative, and it's kind of, we're already kind of sort of doing it, but what they want to do is put it under a big umbrella, and it's the Ready and Resilient campaign. And there's an op order out there for it. It's 13-085. And when you're looking at, setting up your YTB for the upcoming year, kind of have that next to you as your Bible when you're setting up the YTB. It's technically a commander's program, but again, it's going to be up to the threes to execute in conjunction with your surgeon cell, your clinical folks, your G1, your chaplain, and family programs as well. And basically what we'll want to do is ensure that there's formal resilience training conducted in all the 12 resilience skills and all the 5 performance skills. And then one of the things that they want to ensure is established to make sure that happens is they want to establish community health promotion councils. And we just set up our first one and conducted it last week. And there's a lot in that op order. So if you haven't had the opportunity to get hold of that op order or peruse it, make sure you ask for it, or we can push it out if we need to, so you can start looking at that. Again, most of the stuff we're already doing, but they kind of want to just put it under one umbrella, and again, make sure that we're taking care of our Army Reserve soldiers as well as our families. And that's kind of all I wanted to address as far as, from the clinical operations, senior nursing side of the house. Any questions?